Hello everyone, welcome to Noble Creative Tutorials. Today we have a new Stardust tutorial in our series and I will show you how to emit 3D particles from a lyre in Adobe After Effects using model node in Stardust. So create your composition and let's get started. So after I create a composition, I have already applied Stardust to this layer, and because in this tutorial we're going to emit from a layer, so we need to have one in our comp. So here I have these fingerprints PNG, and so let's pre-compose this and let's give it fill. So it's going to be our map that we are going to emit from it. And so let's bring it into our comp and turn off its visibility and then go to emitter and jump to type and change from point to layer. And then on layer properties we're going to choose our fingerprints composition, and as you see, just the particles jump right there. So let's zero out the speed and the size. And so if we crank up this, you will see it's like the emitter just actually emitting from this composition. Let's make this a little bit smaller, and so you see it's not what we want. We want to emit what inside of it. So on emitter, if we change the texture gets to size from lightness, the same, nothing happened. And that because in fingerprints we need to have whatever inside this comp to be a little bit smaller, not to be at the size of the comp. So if we come back, we see that the particle just taking place and start generating from there. And so on emitter, we need to do some few tweaks on particles. First, let's give a life to 10 seconds in particle properties. We need the size to be at 2 or maybe 4 for now. And instead of doing that to default, emitting default, let's change that to once. And we need actually to crank up this. So for now it's fine. And so we have different settings here to choose from: a size from lighting, speed, angle, and color. And for the color one, if we change this color, let's change, just give a ramp and get back here, we are actually inheriting the colors from our layer. And on particles, no matter if you change that, it doesn't take effect. So just to keep this in mind. So for us, let's just skip it size from lightness for now and just turn off this color. And actually, yeah, so here on particle, let's make it white. Okay, so the goal of this tutorial is remapping the particles on this layer. So that's what we actually doing. If we crank up this to the maximum and render this, we are having here the shape exactly the same as our layer. And so what we can do with this, actually we can do a lot with this. So if we add turbulence here, and let's keyframe the position offset, let's make it here at 0 and then start there somewhere. You see what we are doing, and hit U and easy these keyframes, and let's preview this and see how it's going to look like. So as you see here, we have these particles taking shape of our layer, and this is very cool. It can be very useful for so many things, for logos and so many different. You can really make this more complicated, but I'm just giving you the idea what we can do with this. But okay, let's say we actually want to make this look like have a depth. Well, we can actually add a replica to this, and as always, and what we have in the previous tutorials, you just have some replicates. Let's make that 10 and offset by here 5 on C. Let's make camera to see what is happening there. Let's make this third. Let's see for the camera, and let's get a nice view there. And you see this is very slow, and because there's millions of particles there, so you see everything is white, and we can get it look cool by on shadows, turn on the shadows on the particles. And so we are going to have a nice look now. You see we are getting something there, and actually this is the same, like you can add turbulence field and all the stuff here, and animating this, and as you see we're making it 3D, and you can make it really look very nice by crank up the density as well. But this is actually pretty slow, so instead of this we are going to use the model node, and for our series it's the first time we're using the model node and the material node. So the model need material, and so we are going to connect this, and then connecting our model to the particle, and actually nothing yet happened, and that because we need to go to the particles and change the shape to model. And so let's actually first change this to 2 on X and the size here. And so on our model here, we need to choose which model that the particle is going to take. So here we have file and material to choose from the materials, and we have nothing yet, and we have file property, which we can choose our objects from there. And for now we're going to actually choose primitive for our case, and then part default we have cube selected, and the size of this one on X, Y, and Z, you can see that much. First let's actually turn down this particle per second, so just to speed up things here. And okay, let's zoom this, and you can't see the cubes, and so on the model let's give it 4 on X and Y, and now you see there's something. If we give this also 4, you see we have cubes there. First, when we are using models, we need to turn off the shadows. We really don't need the shadows here in using 3D models. And okay, you see now we're, instead of those circle shape, we have actual models, and on primitive here we have a few options here. Well, in our case we want to give this a depth, and how we actually going to do this. Okay, so let's turn more particles on here, so just you can see what we're doing. As you see, we have a lot, and everything turned just white. So let's go to render settings under Stardust here, ambient occlusion, and turn on the ambient occlusion, and it's going to give us a very nice effect of the ambient occlusion. And then as you see now we have that ambient occlusion there, and so there's already a little bit of depth because of the size C. So if, for example, put here maybe 20, we are going to give it more depth here, which is better than using replica, which is replicating the particles, but here we're just changing the size of the models here. And let's turn this down a little bit just to speed up things. And you see it this way because I'm just using third resolution here. Let's get a nice view. Okay, this is looking nice. Let's zoom out this a little bit. And so if we put that to full resolution and go back to Stardust here, we have quality settings, and we can put that to very high or extreme. And on ambient occlusion, let's turn on the blur to blur that ambient. And so we're having something like this, and it's taking a long time to render. Well, you may think, okay, this is not really looking good and so on, but well, the idea here is trying to, let's turn on the segment here actor to 10, and so just so we can speed up things, and also the segments here to 1. So, well, now we have this. When we want to animate this or doing things, we really don't need this particle per second to be very high. So let's just put that to 10,000 to speed up things. And so what we actually want to do, the same, applying the turbulence node here. And by applying this, we can animate in the position like we did before. Yeah, let's hit hue and easy ease these keyframes. Let's make this a little bit longer. And let's crank up our okay, now we have more particles. Let's preview this. And this is looking pretty cool. And so now you see that emitting the particles from our lyre, and we can use the power of other nodes to make cool effects. And this actually was pretty simple. We didn't do a lot to create this, and we can make this even more interesting. And so you see it like, for example, I can just use sphere turbulence type. I'm not going to animate this anymore, and just maybe getting some nice looks for this. Let's change from infinite to sphere, and let's turn on the helpers and just put the helpers somewhere. We want that to be, and maybe around 1,050 and some turbulence random. We can change the size of our sphere. That's too big. Let's just put 300. And the same, we can animate that. So, okay, let's say I like this look here. And as we have in this example, getting this nice ambient occlusion with the background, and so we can do that very easily. So what we're going to do, we are going to just create a plane, 3D plane on Stardust. So let's add a mirror and particle, connect that, make the particle Let's turn off this to speed up our work. And so in this new emitter, let's put the particle per second to 1 and zero out the speed. Okay, so things fine now. And we're going to add a model node and material node. And let's connect that, and on particle we're going to change that to model, and in model we're going to change primitive and choose plane, and then on particle let's make this 10 seconds and put the size maybe to 4, and so you can see it. Because let's turn off this camera so we know what we're doing. And on the model, let's make it big. And you see now we are getting the plane there. And on the particle size, let's put that to 2. And so, okay, we have our plane here. Let's make the size of the Y even more. And so we want to rotate this. It's really like ground. Okay, and on emitter, let's bring it closer to the camera, and let's even make it bigger on the Y. Okay, so now we have our plane. We can make it bigger, but for this example, it's okay. So on emitter, let's turn this back, and you already see when this contact the plane, we have some nice ambient occlusion there. And on the emitter of the plane, we can, let's change its position. Let's actually put this to lower half, and this too much. So okay, so now we can get a nice, you see how it's getting very nice shadows there. Well, we need to rotate our fingerprint that we created, so I'm going to use a transform, and let's put that to particle and rotate this. You see how when we move our plane, how it reacts with the ambient occlusion there. Okay, let's just leave it like that, and you already get the idea here. And to keep in mind here, when we have turbulence here, you don't need to connect to material because nothing will happen. See what we have here. Okay. So you actually need it to be connecting to the particle, or just leave it to affect everything. So just going to leave it there for now. And so we are going to add some turbulence here to make things look interesting. So maybe put this to 0. And here let's make a 1500. And so you can actually change turbulence, origin X, Y, and Z and get a nice really point where you want your effect to take place. And so let's preview how this looks like. So as you see in this preview, we have these nice turbulence effects inside the lyre map that we generated with the particles. And so instead of these million particles per second, I'm just going to get for a few of it. So just this look, which I'm going for. I think I'm going to add more particles just to get a nice look of the map that of the fingerprints. So I think this is enough for me. It looks nice. Well, you get the idea what we actually can do with this. And so my tips here is you can actually change any shape here. Let's see, I have some stuff here. Maybe this one. And just replace it here. Let's make it white and make it actually the size, make it smaller. And here we get that kind of flux. We can make it more exactly just by tweaking or changing these model properties here from maybe to cylinder and rotate this 90 degrees and just add the size on Y, and you get the idea. We can create a lot of cool stuff with this. I'm just giving you an overview of things we can do with this, and you should keep in mind that you have options here on layer properties, so you can do the color and just inherit your color as I showed you, or you can, as I showed you here, you can inherit the colors and you get it there, or you can if you choose the color here, you can color it on the particle. So keep in mind you need to keep it on size from lightness, and here you can change the color you're looking for. And here, so we have this color here. Okay, particle and color, and so you can create nice looking things. And so, as you see, it's just keep in mind how we can use this. And for the material, if we get to the material node, and here we have some options. Diffuse, we can actually change the diffuse and the looks of the ambient and everything, and we can actually create a light. Let's make a point light there, and as you see things reacting to the light when we use the model node, and you can do all the cool stuff with After Effects light, real light things, and be duplicated, you know. So I'm not really trying to get things fancy here, but well, just helping you to get familiar with Stardust and how powerful it is. And so this was the tutorial of today. Hope it was very useful for you guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos coming soon. Thank you for watching.